What's going on, beautiful people? It's your man King K back again with another video. Today I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons why I love living in Toronto. The first reason why I love living in Toronto is quite multicultural. You can see all kinds of people, all sorts of people from everywhere in the world basically in Toronto, and there is such a huge community of people of color. So I feel more at home in Toronto. And some of the benefits of the multiculturalism include making friends from all sorts of cultures, learning about all sorts of cultures, the food as well, you know what I mean? So it's quite, it's quite informative and quite nice to be surrounded by people from all cultures, or a lot of cultures. It's just a big pot mix of everybody you could think of. I've met all sorts of people from all kinds of countries, and I learned a lot from interacting with these people and being friends with these people that I would have probably only learned of if I went to that country or I googled it for some reason. And now I go to some places, or I want to go to some places because of the interactions that I've had with people or the friends that I have, and they tell me about where they're from, and it's just very interesting. And I sometimes just feel like, oh wow, where you're from is so interesting, and I feel like I would want to travel to that country and experience more of a full vision of what that country and its people are like. The second thing I love about living in Toronto is jobs. You can find all kinds of jobs in Toronto, and there is so many employment opportunities for you to take advantage of. Now, Toronto is a very popular city, of course, if not the most populous city in Canada, so therefore it's not exactly always the easiest to find good jobs, but if you're patient enough, I believe at some point it comes along. There is definitely more jobs, more businesses in Toronto that are hiring and they're willing to hire. The third thing I love about living in Toronto is basically everything happens in Toronto. Concerts, shows, just things to do, okay? I mean, obviously not compared to the States, but I believe that every concert has a Toronto date. Every show has a Toronto date. They always come to Toronto. So it's like being in Toronto, you get access to all those types of things. When they have games as well, the hockey games or the NBA, Toronto is the place to be. So it is quite nice, I believe, if you are into those sorts of things, to be in a city like Toronto. Now, don't get me wrong, they go to other parts, other provinces, but I believe at the end of the day, Toronto is one of the places that they make sure to stop at. If at all they're going to do a show in Ontario, or they're going to do a show in this part of Canada, Toronto is going to be on that list, okay? So it's pretty nice to be close to all of that action, right? Another thing about Toronto, it's the nightlife, right? There's a lot of nightlife, the clubs, the bars. Toronto is the city to be if you like to party, if you like to have fun. Toronto is the city to be, no doubt. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot of good things about Montreal as well, but I've never actually partied in Montreal. Hoping to change that though, and then I could compare and do a comparison about where is more lit. Fourth thing I love about living in Toronto is that the winters here are not as bad as some other places, okay? Now, I've been to Ottawa during the winter, I've been to Quebec during the winter, and obviously we know places like Yukon, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they're severely colder. We have temperatures going into the -40s and whatever. And honestly, I'm not trying to stay in those -40 temperatures of Manitoba or Calgary, it's also a pretty cold place. So I like to stick in the warmer regions. It's that African in me. I'm sorry to say, it's that African in me. I like where it's hotter or where it's less colder. So Toronto is kind of, the next best thing, okay? So there you go, Toronto. Warmer in the winter. Try to stay away from all that cold. Excuse me. So the fifth thing I love about living in Toronto, obviously with any big city, is accessibility, okay? Everything is closer. Everything is, near to each other. If I want to go to a Starbucks, it's not that far away. If I want to go to, a spa, or I want to go to a cinema, or, I don't have to do that much driving. I don't have to do that much traveling to get to something that I need. If I want to go to a mechanic, if I want to go to, a dentist, they're very closely distanced, and at the same time, so much of them. There's so many dentists in Toronto. There's so many doctors. There's so many mechanics. You know, there's just so much of everything. So it's like you're not stuck going to the same. Let's say, for example, you have an issue with a mechanic and they're the only mechanic in that city or a small town where, you know, there's very limited amount of practitioners, or there's very limited amount of service people. You have to encounter the same type of people. Now, if I decide that I want to change who I'm being serviced by, it's a no-brainer in a city like Toronto, a big city like Toronto, right? Like, you know, I just go out and do what I need to get done, right? It's that simple. Now, a bonus point is I like the fact that there is so much population in Toronto, because it gives you more of an avenue to run into all kinds of people, and it gives you an avenue to make all sorts of friends. It gives you an avenue to just encounter a lot of people. And obviously, if you're looking to be in the dating pool, it's more likely that you are not going to, if you want to get out of a circle, it's more likely that you're going to meet people that don't know each other, versus if you lived in a smaller town, or if you lived in a closed town where most people know each other. So if you're in a relationship, or if you're in a friendship and it doesn't work out and you want to kind of get out of that crowd, there's so much to get lost in, right? Over time, though, the more people you meet, you get to find out that Toronto is not as big as it seems. And with the Instagram age, and with, you know, obviously with the internet, Toronto is kind of like smaller than you think. You know, people have more mutual friends than you think, but it's obviously not as common as if you were in a small town, or if you lived in a town where everybody knows everybody and there's no escaping that, and that's just sort of how life is, right? So I love that you can kind of get lost in Toronto without encountering people you don't want to encounter or whatever, and you can kind of sort of have your privacy in that sense of the word. And Toronto, you know, has different neighborhoods, obviously, and the GTA in general has different neighborhoods that you could decide to move from and still be close to what's happening. You could still be close to, you know, the hot spot, the hot zone of Toronto, even if you don't really want to be in Toronto. You know what I mean? So that's another bonus reason why I love living in Toronto. Okay, so there you go, guys. If you found this video informative in any way, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments in the comment section below. This is just a follow-up video of my last video of the 5 things that I don't like about living in Toronto, which I think you guys enjoyed because it's been getting a lot of response, and obviously it's informative for people that want to either move to Toronto or move to Canada. Once again, it's your man King K. I'll see you in the next video.